Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, it's our team selection for Game Week 13, where the wildcard is active. But first, let's have a quick look back at how well we did in Game Week 12. It was a total of 42 points scored, 50 minus the 8, and ironically the 3 players I bought in for this 1 week punt, Trossard, Murphy and Kane, scored 8 points between themselves. It was really the defence that brought it home for me this week. 3 clean sheets out of 4 and also a clean sheet for Sanchez in goal. So 42 points has meant that our overall rank has gone up from 3.2 millionth to 2.9 millionth in the world, a total increase of around 10%. However, there are still Thursday's fixtures to be played. But now for the fun part, which is Game Week 13 wildcard team selection. First up in goal is Jordan Pickford. Now I quite fancy Everton for a clean sheet or 2 between now and Game Week 16, especially for the home fixtures against Crystal Palace and Leicester. And I just think Pickford is a set and forget keeper and someone I don't want to have to worry about between those weeks. First in defence is João Cancelo. Man City have got 3 out their next 4 games at home, up to Game Week 16, and unbelievably this is the first time Cancelo would have been in my team from the start of the season. He's got good attacking output along with of course Manchester City's decent defensive stats, and I just fancy him to get a couple of hauls within these next few weeks. Next up is Ben White. Now this spot could be any other Arsenal defender, but I do like Ben White's price at 4.5 million. 3 out the next 4 fixtures are good from a defensive point of view. Southampton away, Nottingham Forest at home and Wolves away up to the World Cup. And I just like Ben White at his cheaper price and he allows more money to be spent elsewhere in the team. Joining him in defence is Kieran Trippier from Newcastle. Now Newcastle have got a couple of tough fixtures between now and the World Cup. However, you'd never put it past Trippier to get an attacking return or a clean sheet the way that Newcastle are defending. And again, I just don't see many other defenders better than him, and he's really like a set and forget for the season at this point. Finishing off the defence is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, he has let me down earlier so far this season, and I was one to stick with him for a long time. However, he does seem to be back and nailed in that right back spot for Liverpool, and 3 of the next 4 fixtures you really have to fancy him for. Away to Forest, home to Leeds and at home to Southampton. There should be some attacking returns as well in there. So first up in our 5-man midfield is Phil Foden. As I mentioned earlier, Man City have some really appealing fixtures all the way from now up to the World Cup, and 3 out of the next 4 are at home. And I just fancy Foden over De Bruyne for the 4 million difference and the fact that he generally plays further up the field. Joining him in midfield is Mo Salah. Now Salah probably hasn't had the expected start to the season that we'd all hoped for, but 3 out the next 4 fixtures running up to the World Cup are very favourable for Liverpool. Forest away, Leeds at home and Southampton at home, and you can see a lot of attacking returns in there, and hopefully Liverpool get a penalty or 2 to add to it, and Salah can hopefully bring home some hauls that we're all familiar with. Next up is Gabriel Martinelli from Arsenal. I have to admit I've really enjoyed watching Arsenal this year and the way they attack especially. Martinelli is a key component to that, and we've had him from the start of the season and built up a fair amount of value in him. 3 of the next 4 fixtures are really favourable for Arsenal, and I do fancy Martinelli to get some attacking returns in. Joining Martinelli in midfield is his Arsenal teammate Bukayo Saka. Now Saka's been a member of my team from the very start along with Martinelli, and I have to admit they're 2 of the players that have really impressed me from the start of the season, and they're integral to the way that Arsenal are attacking and the reason why they're so high up in the league. I intend on keeping these 2 for the majority of the season, but definitely over these next 4 fixtures. And last up in the 5-man midfield is Fabio Carvalho from Liverpool. A huge differential in the game, but with 3 of the next 4 fixtures up to the World Cup being very favourable attacking fixtures for Liverpool, I fancy the triple up, and it's really going to go against the template. At only £5.4 million and also occupying the spot potentially that Diaz and Jota played in, I think Carvalho could be a dark horse and one that I'm definitely looking to target for this week. And to complete the team for us, it's just the one striker this week, and it is Erling Haaland for Man City. Again, with their amazing 4 fixtures running up to the World Cup, it would be really difficult to bet against him. I know some managers are selling him for Harry Kane. He has blanked over the last couple of weeks. Of course, he didn't have a fixture just now, but you would have to be brave to go against him, and I just think he's going to score some big points in the next 4. And the bench is Begovic, Dalot, Greenwood and Archer. Now Begovic is the £4 million swap goalkeeper for Pickford in case he were to become injured. Dalot is a player I fancy from game week 14 to 16 with some favourable fixtures against West Ham, Aston Villa and Fulham. I could expect some clean sheets in there and maybe an attacking return if we're lucky. And then of course Greenwood and Archer are really just the bench fodder for the forwards in the game. And the reason I've gone for two cheap forwards is because I do prefer some of the midfielders and defenders of these upcoming 4 game weeks to the World Cup. Captaincy is a close call this week between Mo Salah and Erling Haaland. However, I do slightly prefer Liverpool's away fixture to Nottingham Forest. I have tripled up on them, so I am going to give the armband to Salah, but Haaland does worry me this week. So that concludes our game week 13 wildcard team selection. Let me know what you think about it down below in the comments, and thanks so much for watching.